This is what I think turns off some people.
The Morning Drive.
You know, that's a good point.
With Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone. Right.
27 before the top of the hour. Back on the Morning Drive. Checkered flags and black flags in a moment. One of the things that happened in the Cup race yesterday involved the 43 team on the pit lane. Petey, do you have an update?
Well, the latest we have, front tire changer Thomas Hatcher is the gentleman, and you were watching on television yesterday. He collapsed on pit road. Apparently, he and another team member made contact during a pit stop. The latest we have, he was taken to a local hospital. Awake and alert was the condition that he was in, so we'll keep you up to speed on that, but I know a lot of folks are asking about that. A little scary issue down there. You know, pit road, Mike, when you're down there, I mean, it is so congested and so much goes on there. Quite frankly, I'm surprised more things like that don't happen. Thankfully, they don't. So we're thinking of Thomas Hatcher, and we'll give you an update on him when we get it, but he is awake and alert at a local hospital there in St. Louis.
And we wish him the very best as he continues to convalesce from the matters of yesterday, and hopefully we'll get back to North Carolina sooner rather than later. All right, checker flag, black flag time here. Portland and Gateway, or St. Louis, the weekends that we're speaking of. Full weekend of racing this past weekend. We will begin our checkered flags and black flags with Sammy. What do you have for us this morning, Sammy?
Oh, he threw me a curveball there, Bagman. I will give my
What do you
checkered
have?
flag.
What do you have?
I will give it to, I have a checkered flag, and I'm going to give it to Kyle Busch. 3 wins for him and RCR so far this season. Not necessarily what I was expecting to see. I'm not surprised to see it by any means, but I was not expecting Kyle Busch to have 3 wins at this point in the year. I'm happy for him. Big-time career rejuvenation, and I think it's a big shot in the arm for Richard Childress Racing. It's nice to see another Chevy team, or a team kind of outside of Hendrick Motorsports, really running pretty well. And so congratulations to Kyle Busch. He led a lot of laps there last year, and he obviously led a lot again yesterday. So congratulations to Kyle. My black flag, this is tough. I'm not gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna do the brake rotors. I think that's scary. The hit that Noah Gregson took was tough. There was a picture of a fan, I think, that got hit by some of the debris. He had like a spot on his chest, like a red spot.
So you got branded.
Getting hit by. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Davey. So pretty scary. Obviously, NASCAR is going to be diving in to look at that. That's going to be something that they certainly don't take lightly, especially debris going into the stands, things like that. So, scary situation. Hopefully, they can get it figured out. Do you guys know why it seems like they don't break as much? That they break just as much as places like Martinsville or Richmond or Bristol, right? Even compared to where they were this past weekend. What was the reason, Petey, for all the brake rotor failures? Do we know?
Well, as it was explained, the long straightaways there allow the brakes to cool down. And so I know that's that's sort of a relative term, but when they do, and then they get hard on the brakes in the corners, and Larry Mack explained this yesterday on the telecast, that was putting a lot of stress on those brakes and those rotors, and that's why you saw so many of them, unfortunately, have issues yesterday. So, yeah, a couple of scary situations there and some really hard hits. So thankfully everybody's okay, including that fan that got a little souvenir that he wasn't expecting after that incident yesterday.
I just hope everybody's okay. That's very, very scary. I think it's because I think we're finding that Gateway is probably the hardest on brakes, obviously with the rotors having challenges. Excuse me, that's a conversation for Elton Sawyer. We'll ask Elton about that. What's the deep dive into those issues? What are they going to be to get to the bottom of this? But it was a very unique situation yesterday. So hope that everybody gets all that sorted out there. Davey, what about you? What are your checkered flags, black flags?
Checkered flag, in the same vein as Sammy, I'm going to give it to Kyle Busch, but for surviving all those late race restarts. I counted them in the last, 40 laps. He had to endure 5 of them. 5 late race restarts, and he pretty much aced every single one of them. It would have been, totally expected for him to maybe falter on 1, maybe even 2 of them. You have Kyle Larson restarting next to him. Ryan Blaney was up there. Denny Hamlin real hungry for his 50th win. Chris Gabehart was coaching him and trying to pump him up there. But Kyle Busch, as he does, stone cold, just very straight down the middle of the fairway. And knocked it out of the park almost every single time. So checkered flag to him and that team for navigating those restarts and kind of keeping their cool and not really getting too overheated while they were sitting in the red flag, literally and figuratively. So checkered flag goes to Kyle for surviving all those late race restarts. My black flag, I'm going to go out to the Pacific Northwest where you were over the weekend, Bagman. I'm going to give it to John Hunter Nemechek. He finished 10th, so all in all, not a bad day for him when you look at the stat sheet, but when you dive a little bit deeper as we were able to watch the race, just a lot of stuff going on. He wrecked Sheldon Creed, I would say unintentionally maybe, for the stage win, and he got some payback later on. To his credit, to John Hunter's credit, I will say, went over to Creed after the race, talked it out, fist bumped, and John Hunter even said over the radio after Creed wrecked him, he said, I had that one coming, all good. But what are you doing getting into it with your teammate, Sammy Smith? I did not know what that was about. It seemed like there was something that needed to be handled or a hatchet that needs to be buried, but even after the race, John Hunter is saying, I'm going to go whoop him on pit road after the race. I don't know if that happened or not. I didn't see footage of it, but just a weird day for John Hunter Nemechek. When you're in a car that fast and you have as much speed as he does from a talent perspective and an equipment perspective, I just don't think you need to be mucking it up with all that extracurricular stuff. So top 10 for him, which is good, but unfortunately black flag for me goes to John Hunter.
Ran his teammate off the track. Gave Sammy Smith the business.
We'll get into more of this here as we get in on that review activity. But yes, it was, how can we say this? You had some people banging the chip out there in Portland. Again, more on that coming up. Petey, your thoughts?
I'm going to give my checkered flag to Ford. We have talked a lot in the last 2 weeks about what's wrong with Ford, how far behind are they, and last week Ryan Blaney got Ford to victory lane in the Coca-Cola 600, and Sunday there were 4 Fords inside the top 10. Joey Logano was the best finisher at 3rd, Blaney came home 6th, Michael McDowell was 9th, and Kevin Harvick was 10th. So not a win, but I think, again, another step in the right direction for Ford as they try to close the gap between that manufacturer, Chevrolet, and Toyota. And I get Chevrolet won the race and Toyota was second, but I still think Ford drivers in the top 10 for Ford was a pretty good day for them outside St. Louis yesterday at Worldwide Technology Raceway. My black flag, and it kind of connects to Sammy's black flag with the brake rotor issues, but I'm just giving it collectively to 2311 Racing. I mean, both Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, I thought, had cars good enough and capable enough to be near the front and compete. They had issues. Tyler got an incident early, and he had to come back from that, and Bubba also had the same sort of issues. So 2311, Mike, had high hopes going into this race, as did all the Toyota teams, and it did not turn that way out at all. Bubba Wallace finished 30th, and Tyler Reddick finished 35th. So tough day for 2311 Racing at Gateway.
I'll start with my black flag. The interesting thing I noticed over the weekend about being in Portland is that Portland is a mix of Minnesota nice with a little edge to it. But everybody's just talkative. Everybody's happy. Everybody's just this laid back bunch of people out there. And that's until the race began. And then when the green flag flew for the race, it got very testy. Just very, very testy. It started, again, like a Tina Turner deal. It started off easy, but she ended rough. And as we got to the end of that race, we had drivers getting into everybody, getting teed off. This one's spinning, this one spinning, that one. You had people getting cleaned out going here and cleaned out going there and getting out. I mean, people in headlocks after the race. Everybody just relax. Just relax. It was a very intense 147 plus miles out there at Portland, but the testiness and the demeanor at the end of that race is without black flag. Now, I will give my checker flag. I'm going to go in a totally different way. And I know that the day may not have ended the way they wanted it to, but I will not take the heart away from this bunch, and that's Alpha Prime Racing. So backing up to the journey out, they lost basically both of their haulers. The 4445 hauler got stuck in St. Louis, broke down, and they had to bring out replacement equipment. The 43 hauler broke down and blew out the airbags in Kansas City. They then had to get a replacement hauler to get the 4345, and then they finally got the 43 back on the road. Then that broke down 200 miles from Portland and had to get a backup dually to get then the car that to go to the racetrack. They get to the racetrack, and then race day, the driver of the 43, Leland Honeyman, has food poisoning from crawfish.
What?
Brad Perez, who normally changes tires for Patrick Emmerling's team, was tapped as the backup as needed. I talked to Brad before we went on the air Saturday. He actually changed the tires on the 53 in his driving suit with his driving shoes on if needed to jump in. He was needed. He did without a lap of practice, and then had a problem and put it firewall deep in the barrier in turn 12 on the final turn of the final lap. What an odyssey for Alpha Prime Racing. And by the way, pick up the banner and march on to Sonoma this coming weekend. So it's been such a handful for Alpha Prime, but they made it out to Portland. They made it onto the racetrack, and then now they're trying to get themselves squared away as they get ready for their second road course race in a row. Those are our checkered flags or black flags. Yours are next at 866 Pit Lane as we continue through this Monday morning, June 5th.